Hello and welcome to today's video on Era of Conquest. We finally got it in. We've been waiting for it. I know the full hero tier list, and we're going to do a cool one where we've got the game here and we're going to be basically switching between so you can see why I'm putting what heroes in what position. So let's get into today's video. Hello, yes, smash like, comment and subscribe for more daily videos for Era of Conquest, where I am making a bunch of content guides for it because we are absolutely loving this game. And right now we're about to hit a month, about 30 days in the game. So for me, I'm making this list all the way up to Relic Hunter 4, where you're going to get all the heroes in this list up to there, and then at the end I will talk about one of the future heroes which we can see too. This is just going to be my opinions obviously on what heroes go where. We're going to talk about obviously the different ratings too and all of that jazz. So this is just obviously my opinion, just to give you guys a word of warning. And the way we're going to do this, as you can see to like the left of me right here, you know, they're all going to be in alphabetical order. So if you want to look for certain heroes, they're all going to be in alphabetical order apart from 3, which we're going to discuss straight away in this disclaimer part, which is gonna be Baybars with the Ivan as well and Joan of Arc. And the reason why we're talking about these 3 heroes in particular when we're talking about the D tier, I'm gonna just suggest to do not invest into these 3 heroes, or not really go to use them, because when you look at these type of heroes in the game, especially of Era of Conquest, their main skill is honestly what I would consider the bare minimal of a skill, and it's not even 100% guaranteed in some scenarios. Like Ivan's here, it's only launching 1 tactical attack against 2 enemies. Same with when you got Baybars with a 50% chance of triggering, and it's 1 physical attack against 2 enemies. And then you've got Joan of Arc, again 40% chance to launch 1 tactical attack on a single enemy, and then you get a 30% chance afterwards as well to launch another attack. So it's just not really worth all of these rolling up the dice of these skills. These skills, in my opinion, are the free just. You're going to use them maybe in the early game, and you're going to switch off them as fast as possible when you get some other commanders. So let's go into the full tier list now. Let's speak about every commander in the game, alphabetical order now, as you can see to my left. And before we get into it, let's just go into today's sponsor. Huawei AppGallery, pretty simple. Get your phone out right now, scan that QR code and download the app. What it does is pretty simple, offers you maximum value for your purchases. So if you are a bit of a spender and you want to get more value, this is the application for you. Why? Pretty simple. If you're spending on Era of Conquest as an exclusive offer right now, you are going to be able to log in and then use any of those purchases through the AppGallery app and claim these offers to win potentially new gadgets, claim extra coupons for your account where you can use these to get even more in the game, as well as even, guess what, a $15 gift pack. So why not try out Huawei AppGallery? It is there to help you out. Any of this stuff will come into your little area here, which is your main zone, and you will happily be happy with the service that they provide. So if you need anything, they do have an official Discord too. All of that stuff and all this campaign sponsorship will be in the description below. And thank you very much for that. Yes, we're here in the tier list, and we've got the very first person on the list, and we have the one and only Alex. And Alex is a really fantastic hero, and the reason why Alex is a fantastic hero, and he's going to be one of the heroes that we honestly start the tier list off with a bang, is because of the fact that he is personally the best tank in the game. And what that means is as a hero, Alex in the S plus category is basically the best tank in his role, meaning when there's other commanders in the game, which we're going to discuss, like Herman and stuff like that, which are trying to tank damage or get the damage applied to them, None of them do it as good as Alex. Alex is just the best tank commander in the game for that reasoning, right? So the S plus here is basically the best. We're just going to put the best here roles of any of these commanders, while anyone in the S tier are basically top tier commanders. So anyone in the S tier, don't worry, you can use these guys. They're really, really good. As well as the A tier. The A tier, again, really, really good heroes. So these are just insanely good value heroes that no matter what, anyone in these top 3 categories, you're going to be using majority of the time. The B category here is just basically your average heroes, which you're going to be using sometimes, and you're going to upgrade these guys unless they're filling a specific role. And then the C tier, as you can imagine, similar to the D tier, are just below average heroes, the ones that don't, for me, make the cut, and you do upgrade these guys really, really fast. So that is nicely now laid out for you guys. You can understand what these different categories mean. You can just put here below average just to make it a little bit simpler, because I know what you guys are like in the comment section in the videos. So let's go into Alex. So when we are talking about Alex in game though, Alex, again, like I said, fantastic tank hero. When you get this hero, what he's basically doing is taunting all the enemies to make him take all the damage. And by doing that, he's actually going to reduce all damage he receives by a total of 50%. And the crazy thing is, this is 100% probability. So he's always gonna cast no matter what. And this is for the first 4 rounds, guys. So you always taunt the 3 enemies on them. It's a fantastic way to basically allow your 2 main damage dealing heroes to actually deal the heroes damage, right? And that's why it's really, really good when you look at heroes like Alex. So fantastic hero, no questions about it. S plus, best tank hero in the game. And now we're gonna get to Budica. So Budica, again, really actually alright hero, and she is one of the starting heroes in the game for you. And for me, I'm gonna actually just put her in the average tier. And the reason why she's just basically average for me is she's a good starting hero. She's a good control baseline to work from. So you're going to have this hero, and then in the later stages, when you start playing maybe for a week or 2, you're actually going to get access to different heroes that you're going to want to use over her, in my humble opinion. And the reason, again, is when we start to look at her skills, guys. Her skill is a really cool skill in all effects. A level 20 skill, 40% probability to trigger. It launches 1 physical attack to a target, but then it inflicts disarm on them, which is really, really good. And if that target is already disarmed, silenced, stunned, or exhausted, guess what? You will inflict a disarm to another target for 1 round. So in a control build, she's actually really good for that, like I said, early game. It allows you to pair her up with someone later on like Li Shimin, or even like Yi Sin Sun. You know, all these different control based heroes that you can basically silence someone and then go into this disarm, and if they're already silenced, guess what? You can disarm someone else. And it's really good how you can double up almost on these effects. So that's why she's just in the average tier, right? And the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, guys, even for a B hero, she's good. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Like, generally A is really good. Anyone A above, you're happy with it. Even in B, they're really good heroes that you can work with. There's not much between B and A heroes. The big gap is obviously between B and S plus, right? So now we're on Caesar, and Caesar is one of my, honestly, personal favorite heroes in the game. Why? Because Caesar, in my humble opinion, is the best healer in the entire game. So there's different, again, roles, kind of what each of these commanders can fulfill in your lineup. And instead of like tanking the damage that your units do, that Alex does, instead of tanking damage, what Caesar's all about is healing damage. So what he does a really fantastic job of is actually healing these units in your troop count. And the great thing about it is if a target healing is under a disarm, silence, stun, or exhaust effect, guess what? 50% chance to purify all negative status for the target, meaning if we are under one of these CC effects, we will negate the effect of all and will purify all status effects on our march. Absolutely insane, right? So you get to heal 2, as I said, 2 units of your choice, a nice amount of number, and it goes all up to 150%. This goes up to 2.5% as well, lower of your forces, which is just even more crazier. And then, like I say, you get that utility on him. So in my humble opinion, Julius Caesar, one of my favorite commanders in the game, really good as well if you want to try the bulk and shield build, really good hero that uses it, and in my humble opinion, the best healer that you could be looking at in, like I say, Era of Conquest. So let's go into now the next one, which is gonna be Charlemagne. And Charlemagne is a very interesting hero. I personally don't use him right now, but I do want to try and figure out a really good comp in using him. Why? Because Charlemagne is a top tier commander, because there's no other commander that basically does what this commander wants to do, which is promote your commander's effectiveness. So he allows your commanders to actually excel even better in combat scenarios. So this is a really key thing, because he's the only commander that does this, and that is what makes him really, really powerful. And you can make some really powerful control builds, counter builds, like you can just do so many different Charlemagne builds around him, and he's just a super flexible hero because of that. And that's why, again, he's in the S tier, and when we go into game, you're gonna see why, because his skill is so unique. He will launch a tactical attack, which is great, but if the target is already being controlled, you increase the probability of casting active skills in this round by 20%, which is amazing, because if you're trying to run certain builds, even if you're going to try and run, like, say, like a burn build, right, this is a 50% chance probability, and now it's going up to a 70% chance probability. And like I said, if you're doing it more for control builds, which you are really good with, guess what, this is at max level a 36%. Now it's a 56% chance because of Charlemagne. So really, really powerful hero, because of the fact he's enabling all of your other heroes to actually do their job in battle. And he's one of the only heroes that does this. And maybe in the future, who knows, we might see some more heroes like that. But for now, definitely in the top tier. And now we're going to go to Cleo. And Cleo, again, I'm not going to lie, guys, for me, is a top tier hero. Some people might think she could be a S+ hero, but I think there's someone who's better. And the way I look at Cleo is, I think she's the best kind of supportive hero, where she wants to do some sort of utility strategy to actually get you an advantage in the open field. And she does, again, a fantastic job in doing this compared to a lot of heroes, because her skill, similar to someone else in this list that you can imagine is going to make the cut as well in here, her skill allows you to actually steal different stats. So you're decreasing the stats, basically, of strength and intelligence of attacking enemy heroes. And this is going up to 144. So this is insane. And on top of that, what she does is during the battle, no matter what, the first time any of your heroes go below 70% HP, you get a massive heal, and it's 100% of the healing rate. And that's what's crazy. So you get this buff once you hit a good threshold where it makes sense. And you basically get a refresh on the fight almost. So instead of going back to 70%, you're about like 95% on HP on your heroes. And then on top of it, you've now just reduced the strength and intelligence of the enemy hero. So now they're even worse, and they've already lost so much HP, so they should, in theory, lose that fight. And that is why I think she's a really powerful hero. And this effect, as you can see, is shared with enemy heroes for 3 rounds. And that is what's even more crazy about it. It's a 3-round buff that they get debuffed applied on, and that's why, in my opinion, she's definitely a S+ hero. So not S+, an S tier hero because of all of that. There is one hero that does a lot more in her kit that you're gonna see, but For team, meantime, she's going to be in my S tier. Maybe over, the next month, 2 months, we update the tier list with the newer heroes, and maybe she moves up the list. Who knows? Who knows, right? Obviously, if you like this video so far, smash like and comment below. It obviously helps the algorithms out. It helps the YouTube gorillas in the back room, hit the keyboard in the right position so people can watch this content and learn a little bit more. So, let's carry on. We're on Constantine. And you know what? I've got a weird thing about Constantine, because I actually like the hero, but in my eyes, I've got a kind of harsh reality check with him. And some people might disagree with this, but in my opinion, he's just an A-tier hero. Why? He is a fantastic hero, honestly. And he's almost, if you want to say, the best A-tier hero. He going up into this category for the moment. But the thing with Constantine is he is another support style hero, and when you're looking at the other two heroes that are going to be up in this listing, you can understand why, in my opinion, that they are better than Constantine. When we look at Constantine in game though, again, you're gonna be very happy with this hero though, because this hero does give you a lot of basically advantage in your start of battle. So when you see this, it's at the start of battle, there's a 27%, and if we go all the way up, a 54% chance of decreasing damage dealt by 13.5%. So this is what's a really good effect on him. And then during that preparation round and every subsequent round afterward, there is a 50% chance to taunt 2 enemy units, and in each one round, when hit by a normal attack for the first time, increase all damage dealt and healing effect of a random ally. So he does quite a lot of stuff, but the thing is, in my opinion, he does too much, and that's the problem. This hero does so much different stuff, but he doesn't do it at like a really high level. He's almost like the jack of all trades, and that's why he's actually a really good hero, because you can actually use Constantine in pretty much majority of comps. He's a really good positional hero where you can put him in that secondary third slot, and even here is just a really good synergy if you're looking for a combo where you could run a Alex with either like Pacha and your Constantine and get the History Maker, which is a very powerful actual formational buff because of that. And I honestly like him because of that. That's why he's in the A tier. I wouldn't put the boy any lower. Maybe you guys might, put him higher. Let me know again what you guys think in the comments below to it. But I think he is a really good hero, and like I say, he will be the gatekeeper of the A tier list. So now we're at Darius the Great, and I'm not gonna lie, Darius the Great for me is just gonna be a below average hero. When we look at him straight away in game, the problem with Darius is he again doesn't do too much, but the problem is compared to the other guys is he does actually offer something else, which is really good. So he will launch 1 tactical attack against 2 enemies like the other 3 bad heroes below, but then you get an actual 10% going all the way up to a 40% chance to get basically restraint, which is granting immunity in your kit, which is very, very powerful, because it's basically like almost, if you want to say, I wouldn't say like a mini Caesar effect, but when you have Caesar with bulk and shield, that's what you're generating. You're generating restraint because of this effect. So it's a very budget version of that hero. So that's why Darius is okay. Like, he's not the worst hero. You might use him, in the early game, because he's probably might be one of your better healing or like tanking weird style heroes that you unlock, and then you're gonna obviously trade him out pretty soon for any of the average or above based heroes in the game. So nothing too crazy on Darius, unfortunately, but there he is in the C tier, and you can see now the actual tier list is coming along, right? It's actually coming along. And the next hero though, and this is one everyone gets access to, and I know people have been waiting for him, is El Cid. And El Cid is definitely a really good hero. God damn, this hero. You get access to El Cid for free, And as a free-to-play player and even a spender, you're going to get this hero really quickly leveled up because of awakening him through the tapestry, as well as even summoning him, right? So you get this guy really, really fast, and he becomes almost the basic foundation for your burn builds, and you can basically run even double burn builds because of how good this guy is. That's how cool this game is. As an epic based hero, we have a fantastic PvE based lineup, and that's the one thing you got to remember when you are running mainly burn combos. Burn combos really are good for PvE style combat. There is some exceptional heroes that are better than others in PvP, which we're going to go over. But when we look at this skill, it's pretty simple. He does a nice amount of damage, but guess what? If they burn, you increase that damage by 70%. So 500% nuke is insane on PvE content. It's just insane, especially when you increase it by 70%, honestly, guys. And that's why this hero is actually a really good hero compared to a lot of the other heroes like Ivan and even, you know, like Baybars, like we've mentioned, in Joan of Arc. And the thing is, even though he's that good, you will, I'm not saying this as a, you know, a bad thing, you will replace El Cid, in my humble opinion, pretty fast in the game. He's going to be something you use early game quite a lot, and then, like I say, maybe by the 20th day, going into maybe the month or 2 months, you will start to lose the interest and usage of El Cid, and you'll see why later on when we go into some of the other heroes. So now we're on Frederick, and Frederick was one for me where, I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna put him here in the A tier, and I've been speaking to a lot of players and stuff that do play Assault a lot more than me, and they do explain why actually he is a S tier hero. And the thing is with Frederick, when we look at his skill, in a first glance, it doesn't seem that great. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't seem that great because it's after a normal attack, launch one physical attack to a single enemy unit. If the own forces is greater than 6%, launch an additional physical attack. So it's a really cool effect. The thing that people, I think, and myself kind of misunderstand is it says after a normal attack, which is really good because it means other assault heroes that we're going to go over that are also in this category and in the S plus category, when they launch those attacks, you do trigger Iron of Crown. And this is why when you look at Frederick, actually Frederick is the highest DPS hero that you can have in a assault march. And a lot of that is because, again, when you run this tri-continent battle formation with Saladin, Frederick and Toussaint, you're going to get this very insane powerful formation here, which allows this assault build to be one of the highest, if not the highest, DPS builds in the game. But obviously it takes a lot of skills to get because of the assault skills, but this is why he's an S tier hero. And I'm not going to lie, I'm glad to be proven wrong, because at first, like I said, I was going to put him in the A tier, and I'm happy to find out more information by asking around and getting different people's opinions that have got a little bit more information on here. And now we're on Guan Yu. And I'm not going to lie, I love Guan Yu. And Guan Yu is again going to be one where I think players are going to have a... It's going to be one or the other for players. And this is why I'm going to put him where I'm putting him. So Guan Yu, again, is my S tier hero. I love this hero. He does a bunch of damage. That's what he's amazingly good at. The whole point of Guan Yu is, in my opinion, is a fantastic PvP based hero because he's launching 2 attacks on enemies, and if they burn, you're going to be able to trigger that again, but it is a percentage chance, remember, right? So this is the one thing when we look at Guan Yu in game, you're going to have that access to this really powerful effect, but it's a 50% chance of triggering, and it does seem like maybe the gods are not in my favor. I don't get this often enough, and that's why, in my opinion, one of the other heroes that we're going to talk about is in the S plus tier, just because of more consistency. It feels more consistent. And that's what I think when you play burn, you all want consistent combos. Because if you can consistently ignite someone to consistently do the burn damage modifier, that's what makes burn very, very devastating. But Guan Yu easily is an S tier hero in my opinion. You could argue, and I'm not gonna lie, you could argue he is an S plus hero because of being almost really good for the PvP scenarios, right? So that's where we're gonna leave him from now. I hope you guys agree. Again, put your comments down below. But now we're on Hannibal, and Hannibal is one where people are going to maybe not like where I'm putting him, but again, this is going to be down to the way I'm going to explain him. So Hannibal for me is actually going to be in the B tier. And the reason why Hannibal is in the B tier is pretty simple. He's one hero that you can unlock through Relic Hunter free, and I think you can spend your gems on better Relic Hunter heroes. We haven't seen any of them yet that we're going to discuss, which obviously is a couple of spoilers, but he is basically used, in my opinion, one comp, and one comp only, which is like an Alex, Hannibal, and like Constantine or Charlemagne style comp, where it's a very weird comp all about counterattack and stat based damage, and because of that, that's why I'm gonna put him in the B tier. I think for players, when we look at Hannibal in the game, you're gonna realize like his skill is just such a very unique skill that you can't actually get too much out of it apart from making a very specific build out of it, which is, as you can see, this one here, which I think it's alright. Some people like the History Changemaker where you get Alex, Hannibal, and again like Constantine. That's a really good one, or with Patra if you don't own Constantine as a little replacement, as a, you know, until you get him. But I just don't personally think for the War Master of Carthage, when the skill's on screen, this is enough of a gem investment to get him. If you unlock him through summoning, that's cool. And if you awaken him through summoning, you know, you maybe try and have a play around with him, and you might enjoy him, and you might, you know, use him as a 5th march. But I wouldn't go crazy on him. I wouldn't, you know, say to you guys, you know, go ham on, you know, go home and make it, you know, your #1 march at all. So now we're at Harold Sigurdsson. And Harold is going to be the other S tier march when we come to the assault heroes here. And the reason why I like Harold is, compared to your Frederick, Harold does a different playstyle. So Frederick is all about the damage in assault, while Harold is actually more about debuffs and actually landing more like attacks through debuffs, which is a really unique play style, and that's why I like him in the S tier. And he's honestly one of my favorite assault heroes, because when we look at Harold himself and his first skill, it's a fantastic, amazing, cool little skill. He launches 3 physical attacks straight away onto a single enemy unit, but each target is randomly selected, so he could hit any of the 3 captains basically in the formation, which is a really cool little like roll of the dice. But every time you hit the commander, the main hero, you're going to increase your own damage dealt for 10% by 2 rounds, which is a really cool effect to put on assault heroes. But then, and this is where I like this hero, if you put Harold as your commander, and this is where you always do, always put him as the commander, you also inflict forbidden healing for 2 rounds upon hitting the enemy commander. So you get a free debuff in this commander, and that's why I really like Harold. I think he's a fantastic hero. If you've got this hero and you don't have Frederick, you can easily run this hero instead of him, and then that's what you can see I'm technically doing in my matches. If you've been following the channel, you'll see them coming up soon in my assault guide, if you are looking for a assault guide obviously to it. But here is Ivan, and Ivan, like I said, is gonna fulfill the same, and I thought I put him in, and it was my mistake here, so we're not gonna go too crazy into him. But he is a D tier hero, same as Bebaz and Joan of Arc. I thought I grabbed him and put him in, my mistake. He might have just jumped out. But he's just, don't use him. Let's just not talk about him. He's just not worth it. Don't pick Russia, don't pick France, don't pick Arabia. Because if you do, you're going to waste your heads on your heroes. Maybe later on you might want to do it for the resources potentially, but the heroes themselves I wouldn't work on. So now we're on Herman, or Hellman as some people call him, because he is named Hellman or Herman in the game. And I actually really like this guy. He's a really good, fantastic hero for a lot of different reasons in the game. So I'm going to put him in the A tier. And the way we put him in the A tier is pretty simple. And we're going to just bring him up to explain this, because it will be a lot easier. As we've talked about with Julius Caesar and like your Alex, they're like tanking and healing style heroes. Your Herman is another tank based hero. So basically you can use Herman if you don't have Alex. And obviously you can upgrade Herman with a number of different heroes like Julius Caesar again, or maybe Constantine if you want to use Constantine instead. But the beautiful thing about your Herman is he taunts, again, 1 to 3 enemies, which is really, really powerful in this game. And it means he's taking over damage. He also increases his own defense by 15 for the round that is taken by damage, which is really cool. But even more important, he's also decreasing the enemy's defense by 30 points. So if you're going to run like a burn style comp, even control style comps, any of these types of comps, you're going to be reducing their defense. So when you hit your cycles and you're dealing damage in that damage phase, you are hitting even harder than you initially were. So it's a really good actual hero in the game. I really like this hero. I would recommend using him. He's fantastic for, honestly, so many different matches in Era of Conquest. He's a fantastic
now we're on
hero
the boy Hojo.
And you can use him, you know, he's the German star, the boy wonder in the game. Some people really like him, some people really don't. And I'm going to give you the honest opinion on him. And he is going to be a B tier hero. He fills a very unique niche role, and there is certain skills, I'm not going to lie, which you can get a hold of, and if you put them with Hojo in certain combinations with like Charles and maybe like Alex and certain stuff like this, you can actually pump out quite a considerable amount of damage. It's actually a really powerful comp, and you can do some really cool things with him because of that. But when you look at Hojo as a hero, and we try to evaluate him again, compared to all the other heroes, I'm not going to lie, he doesn't do too much. He is just a strength steroid-based hero. So he's going to increase your strength, as you can see, by 118 points. But he will increase all damage received by 20%. So that is like the trade-off of this. He makes you almost kind of like a glass cannon in retrospect, if you want to call it that, by increasing your stats and then obviously taking more damage for doing so. But like I say, you can do some funky stuff with him, you know. This is like a real beginner's build for him. But I'm running him, as you can see, with my Julius Caesar and a Herman build. This is the ones I'm running at the moment. It's a really powerful like counter-attack base build that you can use as a free-to-play player at the beginning. And you're going to basically use this until you can swap out Hojo. Honestly, you will swap out Hojo for some of the other heroes, like Constantine is a fine example for that. That's why I'm going to put him in the B tier. He fills a very niche role, similar to like Hannibal, but instead you're going to get access to him a lot easier. So maybe, you know, if you get your Hannibal, you'll replace Hojo with him, and then you can do some stuff like that, right? So now we're on the big boy. Big boy, Leonidas, the one and only. And I think a lot of people are probably wondering where he is going to get placed. And he is, in my opinion, an S+ hero. I'm not going to lie. He's just insane. You get access to him very, very early on. I know you can use the daily bundles, as well as obviously buying him for only 99 cents and get him, right? Once you have this hero, no matter what, I'm not going to lie, he is a insane burn hero. He does some insanity damage when it comes into the burn combinations, because when you look at his skill, he prepares one round and launches 2 physical attacks onto a single enemy, and if that target is independently, the target is independently selected each time. Obviously, if you're targeting a garrison, like PvE content, which you normally use burn for, it's going to target that same target twice, so it's all good, don't worry. If the target is already suffering, though, from burn, the skill damage is increased by 50%, going all the way up to 200%. So no matter what, you are always getting a damage increase with your Leonidas if they burn. And that is probably why a lot of you might be wondering why I've got Leo over Guan. And that is the only reason, because Guan Yu's skill has a little probability chance. It is not as consistent as Leonidas is. And if you're looking for burn, I'm not gonna lie, burn is all about comboing off and trying to get as much consistency in that burn damage cycle, because you're going against players that are going to try and silence you with the control comps, and you can't afford to do that, right? So I would not change this. I think he's definitely the best kind of like burn damage dealer, if you want to say that. When it comes to PvE content, you get him very quickly in there. But Guan Yu is kind of better in PvP, because you are technically targeting 2 guys and potentially targeting them again, right? And that's very, very powerful in PvP. So you can use either one. You know, you could either argue Guan to be S+2, but I think there is a better hero in S+, in my, again, opinion, when we get to them. But now we're on Li Shimin, though. Li Shimin, and I'm not gonna lie, Li Shimin is a fantastic hero. You're gonna put him straight away in A tier. Why? He is, for no matter what, any reason for the game, a fantastic starter hero. He's the only hero compared to like Herman and Budica that we've spoke about so far, and even some of the other heroes that we're going to mention later on. He's the only starter hero out of all of the heroes in the game that when you awaken him, which you will awaken within the first 5 minutes of starting the game, he will be ASAS, meaning he has perfect flexibility with no matter what unit type, and that is very important in the early game. So it allows you to honestly use him with any march. Generally, you can run around, kill everything you need to do, and you're not worried about losing out any damage. And that's why a lot of people like him. And especially when you look at his skill is not even a bad skill, guys. You launch 1 physical attack onto the target and you inflict a silence onto him. If the enemy is already under a disarm, silence, or stun effect with exhaustion, you inflict silence to another target. So it's the exact same thing as Budica, but the difference is between Budica and his hero is, as you can see, he has AS, and if we look at this hero, we have the base ASS on her rating. So if maybe she was S tier, they could go into the A, category, but they're not, just because of the flexibility of being one of the best civilizations to start with in the game for anyone that just wants to go and not worry about what heroes to pick. So really, really great hero. And now we're on Mary, and Mary is another, I'm not gonna lie, A hero. She's fantastic in this game, and I'm gonna put her a little bit higher, and actually higher than the El Cid. I think she's one of the best A heroes in the game. She does fantastic burn damage when we go into it, and that's what she's all about, burn. And people love burn, and you're gonna get access to her again. Guess what? Through the tapestry. So you're going to get her leveled up, as you can see, really easily. Mine's already 2.5 stars, and I could easily, if I wanted to, dump in my epic sculptures, I could, but I'm waiting until I complete the tapestry first to see what it is. But I love this. So you basically launch an attack and you inflict a burn effect. So if you're running a triple burn combinations, your Mary is going to be your go-to hero, because she's going to inflict burn, allowing your other 2 heroes to always deal extra damage. So when you're wondering, what needs to happen, just make sure your agility on this hero is higher, so she can inflict the burn. So then your Leonidas or your Theodora or some other heroes, El Cid, can do more damage afterwards, right? But then once they're already burnt then, and this is lasting obviously 2 rounds, once the target's already burnt, she also will deal additional extra tactical target damage of 360. So you can see she does an insane amount of damage, and she is a enabler for the burn combos. So that's why she's definitely a A-star hero. She could maybe go into S tier, maybe. I won't want to go too crazy with putting epics into the S tier, but maybe someone might argue that she could definitely be a S tier hero in that regard because of just how much she provides to you in your team. But now we are on the actual boy, and this is the one that we were waiting on, which is Order. And Order is going to be the guy you unlock in Relic Hunter 4, and he is going to be, in my opinion, the best burn enabler. So the thing is, like Mary, he does basically the exact same job that Mary does. Honestly, the exact same job, but he does it better. And he also, which is a very key factor, ignores taunt. And that's because of the way his skill works. And that's why he's honestly the better hero if you can get him. And the reason why is, again, when we read this first skill is honestly kind of cracked when you start to understand what this does. So for every active skill cast, so that means when you're Leo or when you're, you know, either Guan Yu, Theo, Elcid, Mary, any of these activate their skill, this is going to trigger because this is a passive skill that happens 100% of the time. You will launch one tactical attack on a unburned enemy first. And if it is unaffected, as you can see, by taunt or share effects, and then you will inflict burn to them. So no matter what, in this first paragraph, as you can see, you will always target unburned units and burn them, allowing you to always have a burn target, enabling all of your burn marches. And this is, again, unaffected by taunt. So those Alexes out there trying to get that burn on them, guess what? It doesn't matter. You're going to hit everyone. It's amazing, this skill. Then, on top of this, if the target is already burnt, you're going to deal additional damage to the target. And it's a 54% damage effect on top, which is really powerful. Because you got, again, this is a passive. So when you are using burn heroes, like I said, someone like, imagine Guan Yu, your Guan Yu is going to deal 2 physical attacks onto those targets, and because that's triggered, he is also going to now perform extra damage on those 2 targets. He then also, if Guan Yu does it again, the Order will repeat this process. That's why it's so powerful as a burn hero. And if you really want a burn combo, this is going to be one of your go-to guys. He's going to be one of the best combinations in game. I am going to be using him, Guan Yu or Leo, with your Order. And as you can see, Queen Seondeok, this is the one I'm going to be rocking myself. You can try something like this, which is the triple burn combo, but I am personally going for this. It's a very powerful combination in the game. So definitely one of the best heroes in the game. Definitely deserves that S+ category in my opinion. But now we're on Pacha. And Pacha is a fantastic hero too. At first I didn't really like Pacha because I'm not going to lie, I was obviously a noob. I'm not gonna lie, I was a noob in this game, and obviously I didn't really value the healing mechanic as much as I do now and how I understand how combat works. And Pacha is a fantastic hero because of that. Pacha is basically the second best healer in the entire game. So that's why when you get Darius and someone else that you're going to get mentioned in a moment, you're going to upgrade from Darius to the next hero, then into Pacha, and then basically into your Julius Caesar when you get access to him. And Pacha is a fantastic hero. He has a fantastic healing ability, and he is one of, if not the best, with Julius Caesar to use Balkan Shield. Again, so if you're wondering what Balkan Shield does, just to throw it on screen for you guys, each round, whenever someone is received healing, which is not urgent aid or an unconditional surrender, so basically healing from a hero, you will gain a stack of restraint, which grants immunity to damage. And this is a very, very powerful effect, right? And you also increase the highest stat attribute. So when you look at someone now like Pacha, Pacha is going to enable you to actually heal your unit once, which is really powerful because that's bulk and shield triggering. Then heal your commander for once and increase the highest attribute of the latter by 60 as well. So you can see these numbers is very good for bulk and shield because you can trigger in different times all these different triggers for bulk and shield. You're healing different types of units, which is amazing. So this is what you want. Healer, go for it. I'm not gonna lie, I can't really sell you this hero anymore. He's honestly a fantastic hero. I didn't think he was, but he proved me wrong. He honestly proved me wrong, and I'm gonna probably use him in the future. I'm gonna be actually doing a new lineup setup for my account in the future after obviously doing this tier list with you guys. So let's go into the next one, right? The next guy is Pericles, I believe, and Pericles is basically the same again style hero as the one we've just talked about, and he's going to be your average based hero. So when we go to Pericles in game, he is going to basically be very similar to what we've just talked about. He's going to heal 2 of your units for 1 amount, which is really good. And if the hero of your lowest force on the side was one of the targets, there is a 20% chance, basically going up to 40% chance of granting them 2 stacks of resistance, which is really good. Honestly, it's a really good little buff. You could use this buff basically instead of using, you know, like I say, a Patcher or, you know, a Julius Caesar if you don't have access to them. So you would replace already, as you can imagine, your Darius straight away with Pericles, and you've got honestly a really good hero. Maybe actually he is an you know, A tier hero, but I just think there is in the A category just better heroes that you get more flexibility out, you get more out of them compared to someone like Pericles. But he's not a bad hero, like I say, he's not a bad hero, and that's why I think B is a very good actual ranking for this. But now we're on someone that is, I think everyone could know where he's gonna go, but this is Peter the First in the game. Peter the First, fantastic, amazing, best hero in the control category. Why? He does everything a control player wants to do in this game, and it's disgusting on how well he does this for control players. So your SARS attacking army is the skill that you're going to get access to. You deal a physical attack, which is really nice, but this is where it gets silly because you will then make them either silenced or disarmed. This skill has a chance of triggering 100% at the first time, but then it decreases by 15%. So this will then go to a obviously 85% chance, which is still a super high chance of triggering, and then it'll go down then to 60% chance, which is again a silly good high number for triggering another one. And the cool thing is every time it is getting triggered, this chance will obviously get decreased. If the target is already being controlled though, the skill trigger will not be reduced, which is really powerful. So when you've got your Peter with someone like YSS or even Budica, for example, or Li Shimin, all these different control-based heroes, and they're already disarmed or silenced, guess what? It doesn't eat up the percentage, so you always maintain basically a really good uptime on the control effects of this hero. And then on top of this, which is what's even more cracked, is whenever this unit receives damage, just damage guys, there's a 100% chance you will be healed by 60%. This skill cannot be affected by taunt or shared responsibility. So do I have to say anymore? He does a really fantastic effect. He does damage, he heals your units, he does everything you want as a control player for your matches. So he is the best of the best when it comes into the control category. And now we're on Queen Seondeok, and I'm gonna lie, Queen Seondeok is one of my favorite heroes in the entire game, and she is a S+ hero. Why? She fills the same role as the one and only Cleopatra, but in my humble opinion, I think Queen Seondeok is just straight out better. She is another support hero in this game, but the way she supports you is very unique in there, because Queen Seondeok basically upon entering battle increases all damage taken by all of your allies by 8%, which is insane to have at the beginning of battle. You are so tanky, it's unreal. But then, on top of things, is at the beginning of combat, or battle, should I say, you gain immunity once, which is really, really good, because this nullifies a disarm, silence, stun, or chaos-based effect, which is very good, because what this means is if you're playing burn, or you're playing control, you're playing whatever you're playing, basically, if you have Queen Seondeok in your lineup and your opponent doesn't, you will always negate that, you know, silence or that disarm from their control match, meaning your combo here will always go off, and that is so key when it comes into a PvP battle. And then on top of this, when an ally hero casts an active skill, there's a chance of basically getting composure, which is a 4% chance of triggering, and that decreases all damage taken by 16%. So you even increase your damage taken even further by triggering a active skill. So honestly, this hero, in my opinion, is one of my favorite heroes. She is a fantastic support hero in the game, and I would highly recommend using her. You will love her in multiple combinations. You can rock her anywhere and you'll just have fun because she is a great hero. So now we've got Ragnar Lodbrok, and Ragnar Lodbrok, honestly, good hero. I'm not gonna lie, good hero in this game. Not insane, obviously not insane, but he is a good hero. So we're gonna put him in the average tier, but I am gonna put him. Let's kind of clean this up so it looks a little bit nicer. Yeah, that looks a little bit better, right? There we go. So Ragnar is really good in the game. Why? Because compared to your sad, you know, Bebas here, your Ragnar actually does something. So Ragnar in the game is a really good base hero for free-to-play players to work from, especially if you're trying to build, you know, assault and you don't really have any good, you know, major assault heroes in the legendary category. Ragnar actually fulfills that role pretty well, because he does say after a normal attack, which is again similar to Frederick. So he will launch one physical attack to 2 enemy units, and if the target current forces is greater than 50%, guess what? You're going to launch another physical attack. So he does an insane amount of damage. So if you do want to pair this up, as you can see, with someone like your Saladin, you can go something like Saladin with your Ragnar, and then you can run Toussaint, or as a budget option, you can run Bebas, and then just have double of these two heroes, which is Scipio and Ragnar, and we're going to talk about Scipio very, very shortly. And you're going to be good to go. You know, you're going to replace Bebas as fast as possible, basically. But you can use Ragnar, and Ragnar you can have fun with. And I know people love Vikings, so why not? And he's a fantastic, you know, good average hero that you're going to use. And like I said, you're going to use it for a long time. I mean, you're going to get access to the S tier heroes, and you're just going to instantly get better. Like, you just feel the strength increase straight away in this game, right? So now we're on one person that I sadly don't have. I'm not going to lie, I don't have him, Richard I. And Richard I is one of my favorite heroes in the game. He's not going to be an insane hero in this regard, but when we go to place him in this tier list, he is going to be in a S tier hero, and I'm going to actually place him really, really high up there, because he's a very similar hero in the supportive, maybe like tank role. He plays a little bit different again to a lot of these different heroes, but he does play similar to Cleo in aspect of what they're trying to achieve in the same goal. And that's because of when you look at his skill, it's a little bit misreading. Some people don't like it because he decreases his own damage, but you don't care about that. So basically Richard will decrease Richard's damage by a number, so it's 45%, and he will launch a attack then of 288% of just like a single nuke. But then if the target is already under a disarm, silence, stun, or exhaustion state effect, you will steal 22.5 of their strength, intelligence, and defense to yourself for 5 rounds. And if the self is already under a disarm stealth stun and decrease this skill damage by 50%. So basically, if they're already, you know, stunned, instead of 288, it's 144. So that's all that means. But what we like about this skill is the fact that you're actually stealing stats for 5 rounds, and that means their march again is weaker compared to your march, and you can do some fantastic combos here like this one where you run Peter, Richard and Ying Zheng, and what this combo does is you will silence and obviously disarm the target. Richard steals their obviously stats, and then you will exhaust the target with your Ying Zheng, meaning he will basically deal damage over time, and you are very tanky. You have got the best of almost all worlds within this nice little combination just because of one hero. And like I say, you can use Richard in a variety of comps. You're going to like Richard as a hero. I think the more and more you get into the game, just as a little like future you know hint when we talk about the last hero on the list, right? So let's carry on with the list. We're almost there, you know, we've got almost to the end, but we're on Saladin now, and Saladin is honestly again one of my favorite heroes in the game, for the obvious reason I'm a Rise of Kingdoms player, and as a Rise of Kingdoms player everyone loved Saladin, and in this game you should love Saladin too, because he's the best assault hero in the game. And Saladin is basically one hero that enables heroes like Frederick, like your other hero down here, Ragnar, as well as your next hero, which we're going to talk about very afterwards, which is Scipio. And that's because the way of Saladin. Saladin has a very powerful skill where he gains a batter every single basically stage of combat, where he can launch an additional normal attack, but he deals 25% less damage each time he does that, which is fine because you're not bothered about realistically dealing that much damage with your Saladin, because he's enabling the damage from your Frederick, from your Ragnar, from your, you know, anyone, you know, in the assault lineup. And that's what's so powerful about this. And when you read the skill, you can see why, because it's for the first 4 rounds, no matter what, there is a 100% chance to gain batter and gain 1 normal attack. And that's basically just explaining what this trigger does. So you always get this effect. So you're gonna get 1 attacks, then 2, then 3, then 4, which is insane when it comes into assault, because assault all want to kill you as fast as possible. And like I say, with Saladin and Frederick, which we've talked about, you are onto a winner. They're one of the best DPS builds that you can have in the game, and that's all because of the way Saladin enables you as a assault player. So that's why he's in the S+. He's the best in that category by a landslide, and I just love him. Who wouldn't, right? And then we've got Scipio, and this is what we're saying. Scipio is a good hero. I'm going to put him in the A category because he's actually surprisingly really good as a assault hero, because again, if you do have access to something like Saladin, maybe Scipio, and maybe Frederick, right? Maybe you run a triple assault build and you go all in, or maybe you have like Saladin, Scipio, and Ragnar, right? And you're going to replace Scipio for someone else on the list later on to make it maybe a bit tankier. You can do that, because the thing is with Scipio has a very similar style of effect to Frederick in the game. So what he says is, after again a normal attack, which is really good with Saladin, you will launch another physical attack to the target. But then what's really cool is you also gain a 30% chance of inflicting a silence to the target. And what this means is this hero actually allows you potentially to free up a skill slot. So, you know, you could be in these skills, and as you can see, certain skills like Lance Duel inflicts a silence. Well, your Scipio does that, so you don't need to use this. You can use actually a different skill and get either more damage or just more utility. You can choose, obviously, what you would want instead of that, obviously, effect. So that's why he's actually a pretty good hero to use. You can pick, obviously, Rome at the start, and you're not going to go wrong. You know, you've got someone that is an assault chain, and you're gonna have fun, let's say that, right? So we've got Tachibana, and Tachibana is a weird one because I'm going to put her in the... Honestly, I kind of want to put her in the below average or the average tier. I'm going to put her in the below average for now because in my humble opinion, I just don't see that much use for her. She has a really cool skill, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to deny that. She launches one physical attack basically to a target. But all she does is increase your dodge rate by 10%. And there's no real benefit of doing that, right? There's no, like, other heroes that increase your dodge rate. And there's no real skills that you can use to, you know, affect this. In the skills, you can see it's really good in a counter-attack build. Because with this, you know, you're increasing dodge rate and, you know, increasing your own strength. So then when Herman is taunting all the enemies, hopefully he dodges all of, you know, the attacks with the Tachibana. So that's kind of like the concept of her. But I think you can just obviously replace Tachibana really, really easy in the game, if I'm honest with you. And that's just because, again, when you look at this skill here, it's not the greatest skill in the game. When you're looking at her compared to a lot of these different types of style of heroes that you can get that do multiple effects that are just doing control or higher damage, that just do way more for you, like in the open field, right? So now we're coming into the final four, and final four, here we come. And if you've enjoyed it and you've made it so far through the video, smash like, comment and subscribe, guys. I know it's been a long one. I've done this in this way, so hopefully in the future we've got this screenshotted, and guess what? We can just adjust this in the future, add the newest commanders in the list, and it will only be like a 10-15 minute video and not obviously a 20-30 minute video, right? Or an hour video, however long it gets. So Theodora though, and you can see I'm using her, and she is definitely a really good hero. I'm going to put her straight away up here. I think she's the best burn hero that you can replace straight away with these guys. Some people might argue she's S tier. I don't think so, just because Guan Yu, Oda, and like Leo just outright are just straight up better than her. But compared to, you know, Mary and El Cid, she's definitely stronger. And the reason why she's stronger is when you look at her again in game. Theodora has a very powerful effect. She is a enabler like Mary. She will inflict a burn. But if the target is already burnt, guess what? You're increasing all damage dealt by a random ally as well for 30%. So you're actually boosting the damage now of, as you can imagine, Guan Yu. And that's what I use. I use Guan Yu and Theo. So if Theo is burning them and inflicting the burn, guess what? She now increases the damage of the Guan Yu, and Guan Yu hits you even harder. And if they're burnt, guess what? He doubles up. So that's why she's really good, and you would rather use Theo over someone like Mary or El Cid with a hero like Guan Yu, in my experience. And that's why I think she's a very powerful hero. You can honestly put so many different burn effects, and you can upgrade her easily. And I think if you've got her, you're going to enjoy her. She's a very good hero in the game. Nothing too silly to go into. You should be knowing that right now, right? Because she's very common. And if you've not seen the burn build, we've even talked about in the burn build, right? So now we're in Toussaint, and Toussaint I'm going to put in the A tier. Again, you can see there's quite a lot of heroes, and this is what's kind of good about this game. He's a fantastic hero. Again, he's going to be more up here with the other legendary heroes. Why? Toussaint is basically the third hero that you put with most of the assaults. So once you've got, you know, Scipio and, you know, your Ragnar, you're going to look to replace these guys with Toussaint. And the reason why is because Toussaint's got a very easy ability to kind of understand on assault heroes. So what he wants to do is say, you know, when I am in battle, after a normal attack is triggered from Saladin, basically, and performs a physical attack against the enemy, which is really good. If no other assault skills were equipped, which none are when you use this hero, you will increase the other strength of other vice commanders by 6 to 6.5%. This goes up to 70, obviously, when you max him out on a level 20 skill. So this is what's really good. He basically boosts the damage of your Frederick. That's the whole point. So anytime your Saladin deals damage, guess what? He's gonna get boosted like steroid from this guy. This guy's gonna boost up the Frederick, and then Frederick, wherever he is, here he is. He's gonna now hit like a truck because of Saladin, right? So you can see it's a really fantastic combo with these three heroes, and that's why Tianan is a fantastic hero. He basically is almost like the glue. He's like the final piece, if you want to say, the final piece to all of the assault heroes in the game and what you're going to need to make them running smoothly. And then you have Ying Zheng, and I'm scared to put Ying Zheng, because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to put Ying Zheng in the S tier. Why? Because Ying Zheng is, again, similar to a lot of these other heroes up here in like Richard and Cleo and Charlemagne, where they actually offer a very unique ability in the game, and it's a very powerful control effect in the game. So when we look into Ying Zheng, I even use him myself because I'm currently running a Ying Zheng, Peter, and YSS build, which is going to be the last hero, as you can imagine, on the list here. But Ying Zheng, when we look into his actual ability, he has exhaustion and panic, basically. So panic is during the 2nd and 5th round. People might not like the fact this is on the 2nd and 5th round, but when you're playing control, I'm guaranteeing you're hitting these rounds very easily. And panic basically continuously deals damage to the enemy each round, and this is affected by strength. So this is why it's really good with Richard and Peter, because obviously Peter can do some sort of like disarm. Then Richard's going to steal the strength and stuff, or you know, you can use someone to increase your own strength stat. And then Panic's going to do a ton of damage on the 2nd and 5th round. But that's not all this does. This does even more. If the target's already under Panic, which they will be with the build you run on this hero, guess what? During the 3rd and 4th round, you also heal wounded troops for 2 allied units. So he does a lot of stuff in regards of he has 2 major abilities, and he does them really, really good compared to someone that's doing like Constantine, that's doing like 3 or 4 things that are average. He's doing 2 things, but really, really, really good. And that's why I actually like this hero. He's one of my actually like go-to heroes at the moment. I know at the moment in this little tier list he's level 9, but in game he's actually awakened now, level 39. We're loving his hero in the game. So highly would recommend using him. He's definitely one of the better heroes in the game. Maybe further down the line, someone's going to replace him, and obviously this tier list will change. But we're going to come to the very final hero in the tier list before we talk about the honorable mention and finish up things here, which is going to be the one and only YSS. And you can get, obviously, YSS as a starting hero in the game if you want. He's going to be your, I think, I don't want to say China, but he's in either China, Korea, or Japan. He's one of the 3 Asian starting heroes. I do apologize. I know I should know my history, but I'm not that good when it comes to the race side of things. I do apologize. But when we do go to the actual ranking of him, I'm going to put him in the A tier as well. Why? He is basically the best epic hero in the game for control. If you want to control comp, this is the guy you're going to go to. Why? He does kind of everything you want in control, again, while being just an epic style hero. So his skill, when you max it out, has a 36% chance of hitting. He will inflict either a silence or a disarm, so he does basically both types of CC to 2 enemy units for 1 round. And if the target is already under the silence or disarm, guess what? You get inflicted with a stun with a 36% chance of triggering. And this is a really good effect, because some people might not like this, but when you start to pair this hero up with heroes like the one and only Charlemagne, you can now imagine this is a over 56% chance of triggering now, meaning you are most likely every turn or next turn, guess what? You're triggering this nasty control effect on this hero. And I know at first you guys might not like it when you reset the skill, and I'll just showcase it for you. When you reset his skill, this is going to be around like 16 or 18%. Just don't let that throw you off. Hit the level 20, you can see it goes all the way up to level 36, and it's because it's a very powerful skill why it does that. So he is going to be your final hero on the Era of Conquest tier list that we have today. And I hope that makes sense to you guys, why we've put whatever heroes we have. This is going all the way, basically up to your 29th, 30th day of playing in Era of Conquest. Is going all the way to Relic Hunter 4. If you enjoyed it, smash a like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me your thoughts in the final screenshot above, obviously, to the video. But we do have an honorable mention to talk about, and I haven't obviously added them in the list for obvious reasons. And this is going to be the latest hero that I can see in the actual spotlight, and it's Zhuge Lijiang, I want to say. Zhuge Lijiang is a new hero that we can see, and as you can see, it's a very powerful effect for a new support hero. So he steals between, basically steals 18% intelligence from all enemies when they launch active or assault skills, which is very powerful. And before your commander's active skill deals damage, there's a 90% chance to boost your strength to the value of Zhu Lijiang's current intelligence. So the way this works is basically he will steal the enemy's intelligence, so he has a super high intelligence stat, and then when your main commander goes to deal damage with strength, he converts that intelligence into strength for them to give them a massive physical nuke. So very, very interesting in the game, as you can imagine, and that's why I personally haven't got him yet, and I haven't got access to him yet, because he's in Relic Hunter 5. So he's going to get access basically to the next month, second month hero, if you want to say, that you're going to get. So that's why we don't have him currently, and that's why I'm not going to include him in this list, because I think it's better to do things in fours. So let's just say like Relic Hunter 1, 2, and 3, and 4. That's your first month, and now you've got Relic Hunters 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's going to be the second month, and then we can obviously change this month to month and obviously update it with a more accurate and better, obviously, hero tier list. So if you've enjoyed that, and you've enjoyed the honorable mention, and you're enjoying Era of Conquest like I am, guess what? Smash like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, and peace out.